Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Chase. Hope everyone is doing well, especially after the insane day that we had yesterday. So the very first thing I want to talk about as we get into this video is basically what we learned from yesterday. Some of this stuff I already knew. Some of the stuff was retaught to me. But basically I want to cover that because I think that's the biggest takeaway is probably going to be what could we have learned from yesterday. Well, in my opinion, first off, we'll just refer to this chart real quick that I had posted on Twitter. I had it going up from here to 22.6 and then retracing down to 20.6K. Okay, we're talking about Bitcoin here. And if we look over here, we rejected off of 22.6 pretty much perfectly, and the target would have been hit. Now, on Twitter, I had said that I was going flat into CPI, meaning I did not have a trade open. So what I did was I essentially did not trust the price action or my technical ability, and rather I opted to just stay flat into a fundamental event. And now here's what I think that I need to change, and something that you may want to consider for the future. I think that I'm no longer giving a fuck about these fundamental events if my price action and my technicals are still lining up. And what I mean by that is that, of course, we have to account for slippage and other things that could occur due to fundamental surprises, essentially, because we know that surprises are what the market don't like, and we'll talk about that in a second. But so if I was still going to take this trade, right? I mean, this was a good trade. There was no reason for me not to take it, right? Look, would have been a 2.5 risk reward trade. Perfect. Maybe even I could have went a little tighter with the stop. Now, what do we need to do when there's a fundamental event coming up and our technicals are still in line? We're still going to take the trade, but what I'm going to do from now on is I'm going to reduce the risk by about 20 to 30%. Okay, the reason we're going to do this is so that in case there's slippage, or in case of, just a big wick or something, and our stop gets triggered farther than we would expect, we're not going to take, more than the traditional 1R loss than we would have taken. Okay, so moving forward, fuck the FA, trust the PA, trust your technicals. And I mean, don't get me wrong, this is something that I've done before. I don't often cancel my trades over fundamental analysis, but I have found recently, in regards to FOMCs and CPIs, that I have pulled a couple of times, and most of the time the trades work out. So why am I pulling? I think this week a little bit of the general consensus got the best of me. The overall consensus on Twitter was obviously very bullish, but that usually doesn't sway me much. I could care less what most people on Twitter say. There was a lot of data coming in, and Biden was having an inflation party. I mean, I figured that he would have inside information, right? So I would figure that the numbers would be coming in good. The president, right? I figured he would know. So why would he be having an inflation party if the numbers were going to come in hot? Didn't make sense. So I said, well, you know what? Maybe I'm overthinking this, and maybe it's just going to rip up, because inflation numbers are going to come in lower than expected. The president is having an inflation party. The overall consensus is that we're going to be bullish today and move upwards. And to be honest, I sort of got led into the sheep group, or whatever you want to say. Now, I personally, I wasn't long, right? I just didn't take my trade, right? I mean, I had it perfectly from here to here, from here to here. And by the way, I do not really think this last leg is happening. And that has nothing to do with fundamentals. Let's just put that out there now. I'm not instantly going hypocrite. The reason I don't think this last leg is happening is because typically when Bitcoin is bullish, you get, maybe a wick onto a level, or you front run a level, right? This is a clean break through this level. So you had buyers. I don't even, want to think about where you had buyers. You probably had buyers at this demand you probably had buyers at this demand, and then you probably had buyers at this level. And I think it's proven that you probably had a lot of buyers at this level because you get front ran on this wick right here. Immediately, big wick gets pushed right back down. This is people trying to get out at break even. Okay, 1 second. So I think that's the first thing that yesterday taught me. And, one of the biggest things is, if you still have capital in the game, hopefully you didn't take too big of a hit. But if you did and you still have capital, be thankful for the learning lessons and the teachings that you were given. I can go over to ES real quick and quickly just show you guys what happened to me. I had entered to begin with at 39.79. It was a rough day for me originally. I actually ended in profit this morning. But it got a little hectic for a little while. I was down, I think, like 4R or maybe 4.5R at one point. Much more of a drawdown in a single day than I prefer to have. I opened long here. I couldn't believe that it just ripped right through. I sort of broke my rules, didn't stick to my stop. I opened long again below this. And then I went complete coat mode and basically took the equilibrium of this block right here, and then went long again around here. Luckily, market sort of, luckily / partially, I have to say somewhat my ability, because I couldn't foresee how this could possibly just, and that's a bad thought process to have, right? Like, how can it continue to go down? But to me, this was one of the most insane days. This is the worst single day since I think sometime in COVID, like June 2020 or something. The worst day we've had. So I was thinking, this has got to reverse at some point. Look at this resistance, flips to support. I'm thinking this is support. I'm like, okay, so, well, if that didn't hold, then this liquidity has to at least provide a bounce. And then that didn't hold, so then that down to the EQ of the block, and I just kept buying and averaging in, and I was pretty certain that I would get out. Worst case scenario, I guess I was gonna lose, a couple percent of portfolio, but it is what it is, right? I tilted a little bit, didn't stick to my rules. Luckily, market gave me a chance to get out. I do think I layered down in a good fashion. Daily level, liquidity, EQ. I think those were all levels that made sense. And then especially towards the end of the day, on the final rally towards the end of the day, I managed to pick up more positions in here and get out. And then overnight, retest of the daily level, got the rest of my position out in profit, which pretty grateful for. Perfect retest right there, the daily level. So what did I learn from that as well? It's just, just looking at this candle, what did I learn from this candle? Let's talk about that too. And like I said, some of this I already know, and I'm really just reteaching myself and trying to hold myself accountable. Important thing is that the market hates surprises, okay? So let's know that right off the bat. If the market surprises, you need to immediately adjust your bias. Not only do you need to immediately adjust your bias, but you can probably even tag along for some free money, right? You may not get it on the first second or the second second or the third second, but you should be able to get in within a couple seconds. Let's actually see how this played out, how much of the move you would have caught if you were able to get in within like 5 seconds of the report. We need the replay tool. 1 second. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Even if you were, refreshing page, I use Forex Factory. If you're on here and you just click this little button, the little button pops up when it gets close to the time, and you can click refresh. So even if you're 10 seconds late, still could have gotten. Let's get back to ES. Still could have gotten in, somewhere here-ish. And I mean, that's still a huge move, and obviously it went down a lot more from there. So yeah, even, you can tag along on the move. This is specifically for surprises. When the market surprises, that's when you need to quickly adjust bias and, even join along in the fun, essentially. Obviously, you want to keep a tight stop on that in case it, or, a watchful eye on it, right? In case it whipsaws. A whipsaw is okay, but if it starts heading the other direction, and it shouldn't do that on a surprise, right? Not on a surprise, but my point is if you do adapt some type of an FA strategy, make sure that it's really a surprise, or be quite careful, because things can, whipsaw quickly, and if it starts heading the other direction, you probably need to close. Okay, so the teachings were obviously stick to your stops and whatnot. There was no reason I should have put myself in such a sketchy position yesterday. Managed my way out, but any time I ever have to say, oh yeah, I managed my way out, or you think about times where you said, oh yeah, I managed to get my way out of it, it was probably not a good experience. For me, it was not a good experience. It ended up okay, but it's not good. CPI, FOMC, when things come in as a surprise, you need to know ahead of time what the market is looking at as a surprise. Yesterday was big about the CPI month over month. That was the number everyone was paying attention to. It came in double hot as to what was expected. Huge nuke. So respect your PA, right? I mean, why did I not play this? Because the consensus and everyone was saying it was bullish. Well, apparently nobody knows what the number is going to be. So certainly wasn't priced in or anything of that nature. And you got a serious rejection. So stick to the price action. Once the fundamentals do come out, be ready to change bias if necessary. And I think those are the biggest things. So now we can get into the price action portion of this video. Before we do that, real quick, these videos are sponsored by Prime XBT. Big shout out to them. If you could sign up and deposit using my links at the bottom, that is what supports these videos. If you want these videos to keep coming, they're the ones who pay for them to be made. I do see a lot of people signing up. I appreciate that. But deposits are what really matter. I'm not sure if people are just not, the UI can be a bit confusing sometimes. Just make sure that you're entering the promo code CryptoChase and that you have your promo campaign activated before you deposit. Okay, that's really important. You can go to trade account, you open a new account with either USDC or USDT or whatever, and then you do the promo code and activate it. Okay, simple as that. Thank you very much for your support. Moving forward into the price action portion of this video. So we will start with ES, because ES typically leads markets. Although we do have to say something that was interesting to me was that yesterday was that ES continued to dump and BTC actually held around this area. Now, I personally, like I said, I think this is a clean break through the level, and I think there are a lot of people underwater. But I do think that if BTC can manage to get back above here, that there could be a scalp play up towards, basically your next resistance level right here, right? So it's going to be an uphill battle. I think that's the only way to put it. This will be nothing more than a scalp, right? But 20.5k to 21.1. That is a decent scalp there. A couple $100 on the move. So that's something to watch for. But again, I think we need to see price reclaim before looking to get into longs. I'm not looking for any type of longs in this situation until I see some major reclaims. On BTC, it's a reclaim of this level. On ES, it's a reclaim of the daily level. Okay, we can see the clean rejection off of it. Frankly, I mean, we are in support technically, right? This is sort of like your support box right here, and you can see that, even if you disregard that level, you can see that we're now rejecting off of the top of the previous support. We broke down, we ran liquidity, we saw all this. I had called, if you look back on my previous tweets, as we were coming down, I said, okay, we're going to sweep this and go up in towards here, and which is what we did. Okay, so all that was right up to that point. And then I had this as daily resistance. We did reject off of it, although I did not necessarily, I don't think I called for that one, but did call that play. Nonetheless, I'm just trying to think about where we are in the market. So we swept. I mean, we're right back down in the support that has been thoroughly tested. I find it hard to see this as very bullish, guys. I really do. Like I said, if anything, what I'm doing is I'm leaning on the side of caution right now, and I cannot look for any longs outside of, just intraday scalps. Intraday scalping is fine, as always, but I cannot look for any longs until this level is reclaimed. And then even at that point, I'd have to see, what is really like the target, maybe a scalp towards here. If you get back above here, maybe you have a scalp into, it's going to be hard to probably break 4,000. Just like look at all this consolidation that you have in here. Supported, tries to push up, origin of impulse down. I think if you even get back into here, this is probably another short opportunity. If we do something like this and we, flip this, come into here, my expectation is that we'll probably come back down. This won't be able to hold, and then at that point, you look for some type of a short scenario off of that level right there. Where's my little arrow? That'll probably be your entry point, something of that nature, and then, I guess it's new. It's new local lows, right? We sweep this. I don't feel like there's much value in sweeping this and continuing higher. Feels like you'd have to sweep this low as well. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't feel like I have an amazing read on the market at the moment. So I would not take this stuff with a grain of salt, but think that a lot of these plays aren't coming for most likely a couple days out, maybe not till next week. There's key levels that I'm watching, and I need to see how they're interacted with, right? Like this daily level. Okay, do we flip it to support? Can we hold it? If we don't hold it, okay, I start looking for shorts. So it's not as easy as just saying at the moment, like, oh yeah, hey, take a look. We have an obvious liquidity here. We sweep liquidity. We're going to go up. Okay, that was an obvious trade. Posted that one on Twitter live with the SPY calls. We don't have any obvious trades right in front of us, in my opinion. So that's about it for ES, guys. I'll be watching that level. I'll be watching a push down further. You had taken all this liquidity here, and then you started to move up, and then you have support here. So this support level, they're going to try to hold it, but a clean breakthrough here, back down below here, I have to think that, we're headed lower. And how much lower is really hard to say at the moment. I honestly don't see many levels over here that I believe are that clean. Let's see, you had a big breakdown here. This is the low, right? Yeah, this is the low. You had a big breakdown here. This is the low. You come up. You have a lot of built-up liquidity here. You sweep it all, and you go demand level here. Really, a move back down. I think a move back down to this liquidity. If we flip this to resistance, a move back down to this liquidity or this demand is probably likely. Keep in mind we do have FOMC next week, I believe. Let's take a look at the calendar. Yep, FOMC on the 21st. Let's mark that out real quick. FOMC on the 21st. Okay, so fairly soon if we look at the chart, right? I would not be surprised if we flip this to resistance, if we move down to liquidity by FOMC, and then FOMC, instead of them doing 100, which is 100 BPS hike, which is what the market is fearing right now and somewhat trying to price in, instead of them doing 100, maybe they do 75, and maybe that's when we rally off of liquidity and push back up towards somewhere around here would be my guess. Yeah, somewhere around here. Maybe this high, maybe even this high, a little bit higher. But ultimately, if we were to do some type of a sweep here, I would be looking at, obviously, take profit, take profit, take profit. And that would probably be it. Okay, so that's about it for ES. We move over to BTC. Looking at BTC, again, guys, I think that a lot of people are underwater. I think this is a rejection. A reclaim could be a scalp to here. Again, you could look at this like ES if we reclaim, and then if we lose it again, it's probably lights out, as CT would say. I know that they like to meme that phrase. I don't really say it much, but it is funny. Hold this level, it'll lights out. So that's definitely a possibility. Where BTC goes, I honestly don't know. Maybe it just comes down and taps the support again and bounces off of it, and we do like bouncing ball. I don't feel like it's ready to break down to like new lows, but I suppose it's possible. I don't know. It's funny because I don't give BTC a ton of benefit of the doubt here, but when I move over and to look at ETH, and I think, okay, let's say something goes a little sketchy with the merge, we sweep liquidity. Again, with ETH, like I find it hard that we don't take out this liquidity here. I would love to sweep this low and then take out this liquidity and then, begin our road down to like 700 or something. I just feel like you need some type of like this big void here. Like you need a little bit of price action. You need a little bit of price action in here, just a little bit of anything, and then that's when we bring it down. So, yeah, how do I have ETH going up but not BTC going up? I mean, you guys are just seeing a live thought process here. I don't know. Maybe ETH just doesn't go up. Maybe it took the liquidity that it was going to take here, and it's just not strong enough, and it's not going to go much further. Totally possible. Maybe BTC flips this level into resistance, and we do go for this low, and we'll have to go from there. Yeah, I wish I had more solid, concrete, analysis for you guys today. It's really just a lot of watching for me at the moment. I think there's a lot of levels to watch and to see how the market reacts, see what market participants are stepping in, right? Like you're going to need a big player to step in if we're going to turn this around. Like these charts are ugly, man. These charts are ugly, and it's hard to put it any other way. When you have a huge down day like this, who wants to step in front of that? And I made the mistake yesterday of trying to step in front of that train, thinking that I just didn't account for the amount of power that surprise had, that CPI surprise. I thought technicals would work here. They did not. Just plowed right through. So again, hopefully some of the things I talked about today are helpful for you for teaching about fundamental events and how I'm looking to play them in the future. Things to make sure that we do, stick to our price action, stick to our technicals, but when the results do come in, to respect them and adjust bias if necessary. Charts look like shit in my opinion. We do watch for a flip of the previous support levels that have now flipped to resistance. We do watch for a flip of those, but outside of that, how can we be bullish without a flip of those levels? We know that there's buyers at those levels. We know those buyers are underwater. Look at the rejection. Those buyers are underwater. That's why they're trying to get out of break even. We have the merge coming up. We have FOMC next week. I'll be honest with you guys. It's definitely a time to stay nimble and be cautious. And if shit does hit the fan, I do like ETH taking this liquidity. Some type of a deviation, that's probably a bit too low. Some type of a deviation, if you get that, that type of price action where you're deviating tightly below the level, that could be a reclaim, and then we look for a long scenario off of that. People sell the merge, sweep liquidity, take that and go. That is a possibility that lines up with FOMC, lines up with pushing down towards here, lines up with pushing down towards here, that is definitely a scenario I would be watching for. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. As always, hope you have a great week. Hope you survived yesterday. Keep your head up if you did struggle. Like I said, there's been times in my trading career where I've, really taken a beating. And if you're too tilted to trade today, it's okay. Take the day off. Market's not going anywhere. Opportunity is endless. Remember that. Just take some time off and come back. Like I said, there's been times where I've lost huge sums, and I managed to claw my way back and managed to learn more and get in a better place. And you can still see, even after 6 years of trading, I still make mistakes sometimes, like yesterday. Managed my way out of it, but nonetheless, it was a mistake, and it was poor execution and poor discipline on my behalf. And I have to hold myself accountable to that, especially as someone who tries to, educate others on how to participate in these markets. Okay, thanks very much, everybody, and have a great week. Bye-bye.